Welcome to Rewrite the Rules. I'm Ritu.
I'm Rajita Saxena.
On this podcast, we interview successful women leaders across Asia to discover how they are rewriting the rules of life, career, and relationships.
Join us to learn from them and to rewrite your rules too.
Hi Ritu. Hi Rajita.
How nice to be on this side of the camera. So I wanted to ask you, how did Rewrite the Rules come about?
Yeah, it's been almost a year now. So it's a little bit of a backstory. There were two primary reasons. Okay, so the first reason was that last 5-6 years, I've been working quite a bit with women leaders in the region. But specifically last 3 years, I've been running a women leadership program for some of my clients, which is, 6 months program. And very specific to women leaders in Asia, listening to the insights and listening to the challenges. But then as I was also preparing for this program, so, reading articles or reading books, I realized there is very little material, whether it's books, whether it's articles, that were specifically addressing the challenges of women leaders in Asia. Most of them were the Western lands, American, to be more specific. I realized there's a gap. We need to have some bit of resources for women leaders in the region. So that was my first reason. That was a gap I wanted to address.
Yeah.
The second one was quite interesting because through these programs, I've had the privilege to work with some really smart women leaders in the region. And they have had a fantastic journey and they've really overcome challenges and done some great work and are still doing some great work. But I felt their voices were not amplified enough. They did not have enough visibility. And what that did was, I also work with emerging women leaders, and they are constantly looking for role models. So here are these smart women leaders who need voices that need to be amplified. And here are emerging women leaders who need to see these role models more.
Right.
So Rewrite the Rules is a small endeavor to bridge that.
Yeah, tell me more about that, because I know that when you started the conversation with these women leaders, there were people you knew. But then now I know it's grown to become such a large group of people that we're working with, and some of them were reaching out to me personally, said, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, that was interesting because first thing when I started thinking, okay, I want to know more about these women leaders, I reached out to people I knew, so 4 or 5 leaders that I had coached or that I had worked with, they were some of the sponsors of the programs I was running. And I said, I'm trying to do this podcast, would you come on board? They said, sure. But then they realized how powerful it is to tell their stories. At the end of the conversation, I would say, are there any other women who will refer? And they started referring. So every time a guest came, I asked for a reference. And soon that just became from 5 women leaders. Now we've interviewed about 30 already, and we've got a big lineup coming, agreeing to do this with us. So I guess it's just a multiplier effect. Right? And the beauty is that all of this is leading to a book that you and me are authoring.
Absolutely. It's the power of connection, right? How one connection leads to another. And even as we are writing now and having these conversations with women leaders, I've noticed that I look so closely at each of those pillars myself. Am I following what I'm telling? Am I walking the talk? I wouldn't be true to myself if I was not also following what I'm hearing or what I'm asking other women leaders to follow.
That's right.
That's right.
In fact, Rachel, you brought out a good point, and maybe for just for our clarity and for our listeners also, the 5 pillars that we are addressing through the podcast. And if you missed it, through our podcast, we're also leading up to our book. And in the book, we're focusing on 5 pillars. So confidence, networking, balance, visibility, and growth. Those are the 5 strategies. Now that you are coming on as a co-host for season 2, I'm really excited to have you on board. And you've done some interviews. What's been some of your key learnings from talking to these women leaders?
One of the things, not just from the interviews that I've done, but also from listening to all the episodes that we've released so far, the first thing that struck me was I'm not the only person who's made the shift from studying something to actually doing something else altogether. As you know, I did my medicine, but I actually go practicing and I'm actually working in corporate, right? And I found that there were so many other people like me. I was not alone. I mean, we interviewed people who are scientists who moved to become CEOs. We interviewed people who did their, move to the corporate world that are leading successful companies. Right. So I think that was my first very learning. The second was something that resonated with me because I really believe in that, in the mantra of learning, is that all of these good leaders that we interviewed never stopped learning.
Yeah.
Whether it was the next new job they were taking, whether they were shifting industries, I think they continue to learn even today. And I remember when I was much younger, like school, I thought, oh my God, I'll finish university and it will be the end of the world. I don't ever want to go back to learning anything again. And then when you start working, you realize that that never ends.
That's right.
And actually putting an end to learning is like putting an end to code.
Correct? Yeah.
It's that way. Right? So I feel that continue to learn, continue to be open to change, continue to embrace whatever the future is bringing us is the only way to be successful and the only way to grow time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So I've been in this journey for a while.
Right.
Through your programs and through your coaching. But what did rewrite the rules bring you?
Right. I'm going to steal something that you said. Rewrite the rules has also been a journey for me. Every time I have spoken to a leader and every time, I was kind of tried to capture their learnings, it gives me a point of reflection that am I doing what advice I'm listening to, or am I actually doing what they have said, we should do, or even what I'm kind of recommending to say, right? So there is that, the reflection and walk the talk, as you said. The other thing is how there is redefining the success. The question that I've asked all my guests is, how do you define success?
Right.
And that has been one of the most interesting insights I have got, is how women leaders, when they describe success, how it kind of changed over a period of time, right? So in the 20s, it was something, in the 30s, it was something, now in their 40s or maybe 50s, it's something else. So that was quite insightful because that's also been my journey of how I defined success when I was probably in my 30s, 40s, and now, I'm almost on the cusp of getting to my 50. So that's been really interesting. The other realization I had was actually everybody so generous in giving back. And these women leaders are looking for avenues to give back.
Yeah.
And in fact, just 2 weeks back, I had a conversation with a leader, and she said, Ritu, I would love to be part of the podcast or the book because I want to find a platform where I can give back. I can kind of share what I learned and also what my mentors are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is also that spirit of giving back, and that probably we are tapping through the podcast and through the book, and which I hope can continue. But I think that's again, great learning. And the third piece I would say is where I feel I can do a bit more through the platform that we are creating is we can amplify these voices, because I think we just hear from 4 or 5 faces that we see everywhere, whether it's in the paper, whether it's on the TV.
Yeah.
But actually, there's such brilliant leaders that we don't get to hear about. So my hope is really that through our podcast, we can amplify these voices, which are critical for our ecosystem.
Yeah, we literally saw the words because I was this morning thinking that leadership can happen at any level.
Yes.
Not just at the C level,
Yes.
right? And the kind of people that we've spoken to, the women we've spoken to, are at different stages in their career. They're so inspiring.
Yes.
And every stage there is something that you can learn, right? And that you can apply at any point in your life. And that's right. And there was one, other thing that I wanted to call out that we have discussed, both about the book and about the podcast, and that is that there are some things that you can control.
Yeah.
And women leaders don't really do what they can control. Like we try to highlight that. There are some things that you can control. There are things that you can do to further your career. So please do that if that is correct. Right? Correct. Don't just leave it to chance, or don't just give up because you see that it won't happen. Right?
There's just one point I was thinking about it, that while rewriting rules is about women leaders in Asia, but we're very inclusive, and that's the whole theme. So we've not had a single conversation where we've not talked about allies, right? Yeah, especially male allies. We've also spoken to some male allies. So that's the other common thing, that every woman leader who's been successful in their own right has said the importance of allies and importance of male allies, whether it's at work or at home. So the reason I want to bring it out, because a lot of people say, oh, it's all for women. No, it's all for men. Nice to listen to their stories and see how they can contribute more, right? Because if we were to kind of work together in an ecosystem, we need their cooperation.
We've met some people who are trying to host forums.
Yes.
Right. And I feel that even a forum like that is helpful. I mean, I've kept in touch with a lot of women leaders that I met through the podcast, or through writing the book and interviewing them. And I find that there is that resonance that has been created because of sharing histories or sharing stories. And it's just so much more easy to connect with people, to reach out for feedback, to reach out for even support. Like if you just want like a shoulder to, I won't say cry on, but someone to just speak with, support you, right? To speak with. I think there is a certain sisterhood that we've created that I really appreciate.
Yes. In fact, since we're talking about the journey of season 1, especially, if I were to think, I've evolved in the way I ask questions or in the way I think about the conversation. So there's been a learning curve even for me in terms of being a host or in terms of asking the right questions and listening and things like that. So it's been a great journey. Yeah, true. And as you said, our hope is that we can create a community with Rewrite the Rules. Anybody who listens to the podcast or will come to season 2, I hope we'll continue to stay in touch. And that is something we will also do. We're thinking through as to how we can continue to create this community and continue to keep the conversation on, right?
Yeah. So what would be those next steps for Rewrite the Rules?
Firstly, to start with will be season 2. Season 2 of the podcast. Yes, and having you as co-host is going to be a lot of fun. They're going to, our listeners are going to listen to a different perspective, your style of asking questions and doing the conversation. But also, after that is the book. Later this year, we are going to come out with Rewrite the Rules. It's being published by Penguin, and we are writing as we speak.
Yes.
And before the year end, last quarter of this year, we have out. So that's exciting. Yes, and one of the things we are doing is creating a self-assessment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our listeners ask, right? Like what else? How do we know how we are doing on these 5 parameters?
Correct.
So we're actually working on a self-assessment, which will hopefully in the next couple of months will be out and which people can take. Yeah, they can then see which areas they probably want to focus on and which are their strengths and which are the areas where they can do a little bit more.
Yeah, and I know that one of our hopes is also that women leaders or women get together, women leaders get together and form the bonds that and the connections that they need to continue to thrive in their career. So that's right. I think that's a longer term plan, but I'm certainly on our mind as well.
That's right. What can our listeners expect in this?
I think one, we've interviewed a range of. Right? We've interviewed women from different walks of life, different levels in their career. Some of them are accomplished leaders who've decided to retire from the corporate career but are not just ready to give up. You'll also get to listen to women who have powered through, pursued, and really faced a lot of challenges in both personal and professional lives and have reached where they have reached today. And like you pointed out at the start, I think I'm waiting for an opportunity to share their story, so they can reach many, many women to share, help them tide through their challenging times. And I think the conversations have been a lot of fun. Yes, and there've been laughs, there've been reflections. Women are sharing stories of what led them to to become who they are today, where they are today, right? So I think storytelling is another aspect of season 2.
Good.
I mean, I know that we have stories in season 1 as well.
Sure.
But we've been asking our speakers to come and share more about stories, and
that's right.
We'll see a hint of that definitely.
Oh, nice. The other thing I think in season 2, what we've done is in season 1 we missed certain geography, because we are trying to cover women leaders in Asia. So in season 2, we've got people from countries that did not make it to season 1. So that we're excited about.
Yes.
And I guess they're going to get a flavor of us getting better in season 2, asking a question. So I guess there's lots of great stuff coming in, and we hope we can continue the journey as we go through.
Hope you enjoy listening to our speakers as much as we enjoy talking to them.
So please like, subscribe, and share. Once again, our podcast is called Rewrite the Roots. We look forward to seeing you there.